Well, hi guys and welcome to the video. So this is a follow-up video from my lager brew. Here we're down in the cellar at the end of the brew day. So everything's in the fermenters, nicely cooled down to 11 degrees. The Grainfather conical fermenter, I'm going to set up the lager profile, and the first stage will be about 11 degrees for 10 days. So this is a couple of days later. I'm going to do my first yeast dump. So the idea is to dump the yeast as your beer ferments. This is done to, reduce the yeast flavor in your beer. Otherwise, you'll really have a strong yeast taste in your lager. This is very typical to lagers. So the idea is to dump the yeast, every 2 or 3 days. So I'm not planning to actually reuse this yeast. I'm just, practicing my harvest techniques. As you can see here, I got about half a liter of yeast. So I poured in the yeast into a little mason jar here, and I just want to see how it will settle down in the fridge. So here's a time lapse of the yeast settling down. You can see they're still quite active, so lots of CO2 shooting up like little missiles, but you can see that the healthy yeast sort of sits on top. Here's my beer fridge. On the top part is where I keep my frozen hops, which are vacuum sealed. Underneath is, beers that I like to keep cool when I have friends and stuff like that. And here on the bottom, I, made a little wooden structure so I can put kegs on top. You'll see this later on. Yeah, so I have 2 big 50-liter kegs which I'll be using to transfer my beer. And in the fridge I got 2 mini kegs here sitting nicely, getting cool for a party. Here I'm sanitizing the kegs by pushing Star San from one to the other. This is actually quite useful because you end up with one keg full of CO2 and the other one full of Star San, which I'll use later on to clean my filling up machine. Here I'll sort of purge a little bit more CO2 into the keg just to be sure. So here I'm sort of pushing CO2 on the top of the fermenter while the beer flows down into the keg. It's not a 100% complete closed transfer, but as the keg is full of CO2 and it's heavier than the air, I'm not too worried about oxidization. So here I'm preparing my quick carb, which is a pump which actually injects CO2 through a little air stone into the beer, as you can see here. All the bubbles going through CO2. I just let this run for about an hour. It was a little bit difficult because there's more flow restriction with these big commercial kegs. I did have to force carbonate it a little bit more just to get the carbonation levels that I was looking for. So here's my counter pressure bottle filler. It's a 4-head system. So as you can see here, I've got 2 lines that come in. One is for the beer, one is for the CO2. They all enter a manifold which actually splits it up into 4 different sections that goes to each head. Each head has a CO2 position, a stop position, and a beer filling up position. And in the front you can see there's a valve that I have to open and close, which is actually like a spunding valve, which allows me to regulate how much flow of CO2 comes out of the bottles during the filling process. This is actually what gives the speed of the filling. So it's kind of a compromise. It is fiddly to get the pressures right and to get the bottles to fill at the speed you want, but once you've got the hang of it, it's quite straightforward. Don't mind the overflowing or the spilling, that's just mousse that comes out of the spunding valve. So here's a time lapse where I just show you sort of with no cameras in my hand how I can actually fill up all these bottles at the same time. So the backward position of the handle is to purge the bottle and pressurize it with CO2, and the forward position is to actually send the beer from the keg into the bottle. You can see here you can actually fill it up quite slow, and once the bottles reach the top, it'll actually bleed out mousse from the beer out of the little spunding valve which you actually use to set how much and how fast you want the bottles to fill up. So I hope you like this video. It's a different style, different one. See you in another one. Bye.